Hi, I'm Deborah Uroda in the studio with Michelle Kooi with Tafoya Barrett and Associates, and we're going to talk about stress and money, more importantly, stressing over money. Why do people stress over money?
Well, there's a number of different reasons. It really doesn't matter if you have a lot of money or you have a tight budget. Really, about 85% of people have stress at some point around money. And there's a lot of different reasons. It could be disorganization, it could be lack of communication, it could be just not understanding what's happening.
And so what are some things you can do immediately to get rid of that stressing over money?
So one thing you can do is get organized. And if you're not a natural, lots of people aren't a naturally organized person, is to find someone who is, a friend, hire someone who can help you get organized around your finances, whether that's creating files or doing bookkeeping or what have you, so that you know where things are and how much money is in the accounts and that type of thing.
Is putting together a budget helpful?
Absolutely.
And how does that reduce stress?
So a lot of people think a budget is gives you less control and makes you feel confined. And actually it ends up giving you more control because you're telling your money where to go rather than it being in control of you. So you have a plan for your money.
And so how do you budget for things that are once a year, quarterly, or random, like car repairs?
So a great way to do that is to maybe look at your prior year and how much you spent on that particular activity, whether it was car repairs or Christmas gifts or something that you don't spend, the same amount every month, and kind of add up the whole year's worth and divide it by 12. And so you kind of come up with a monthly amount, and then just set that amount aside in a separate account, like a savings account, every month, and it'll just build up until that event occurs, that birthday or that Christmas or that car repair.
And so that's different than, say, an emergency fund. I've always heard that you should have 6 months' salary in the bank in case you get laid off. I know that a lot of people live from paycheck to paycheck, and I know that adds a lot of stress. So could you talk about that emergency fund and how you would approach it?
Yeah, so the emergency fund goals, really the ultimate is 6 months, but 3 to 6 months is where you want to be. And starting out, typically look at trying to at least get $1,000 emergency savings in the bank. And then if you have debt, kind of focus on paying the debt off and then turn back to focusing on the emergency fund. But the money that I was talking about setting aside for car repairs and Christmas gifts is completely separate from the emergency fund because Christmas isn't an emergency. And really, a car repair shouldn't be an emergency. It's expected that your car is going to need maintenance and things are going to happen. The same with home repairs.
What if you're fighting over money with your husband? That seems to be one of the big stressors about money. How do you work with that?
Really, just making sure there's communication. A lot of times one person kind of takes care of everything and the other really doesn't know what's going on. Or there can just, can be arguments around someone spending money that wasn't there, available. So having a budget for the family and having like a regular meeting with your spouse about finances each month can be very helpful.
And what about, I know that high credit card debt is really a contributor to stress. I know from personal experience.
It is.
How do you get a strategy to pay off that debt if you're just, barely making the minimum payment every month?
So a lot of the rule of thumb you hear is to pay the card with the highest interest rate first, but oftentimes that may have the highest balance. So what I suggest is that you really look at the card with the lowest balance so that you increase the motivational factor for paying that down, and you pay the minimum payments on the other cards and you make as much payment as you can to the lowest balance card and put any additional money, whether that's from gifts or a yard sale or anything, towards that lower one. And then once that's paid off, you take all of that payment and move that over to the other.
One of the things that makes sense to me that if you're stressing over money, you got to address it.
You do. You really do. And I like to say what you resist persists. And so if you're avoiding dealing with your financial needs and activities, which we all have, then it's not going to go away. It's just going to become more disorganized and you're just losing control of that. And so gaining some control by becoming organized and having a budget and communicating can really help. And being present and not really, getting some advice.
All right. Well, if you'd like to know more about overcoming stress and budgeting and all the ways you can have a better relationship with money, contact Michelle Kooi at Tafoya Barrett and Associates. I'm Deborah Uroda with Durango TV News.